You are listening to Accents, a radio show for literature, art, and culture. I'm your host, Katerina Stoikova, and my guest is poet Karen Schubert. Hi, Karen, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Doing great. Very excited to have you on the show. And let me
I'm really
introduce.
excited to be here. Thank you.
I know I've wanted to talk to you for a long time and to have you read for our listeners. So it's a very good day today.
Thank you
And
again.
to introduce you to our listeners with a few biographical notes, Karen Schubert is the author of the forthcoming poetry collection, The Compost Reader, and 5 chapbooks, most recently Dear Youngstown, NightBallet Press, 2019. Her poetry and creative nonfiction appear or are forthcoming in Raw Data, Living in the Fallout from the Coronavirus, Under the Blossom That Hangs on the Bough, Pollination Poems, Edith Chase Symposium, Raleigh Review, The Belletrist, and The Cow Hill. Her awards include a Wick Poetry Center Chapbook Prize, a Ohio Arts Council Individual Excellence Award, and residencies at the Vermont Studio Center and Headlands Center for the Arts. She is Director of Lit Youngstown. So what have you been writing, Karen?
I am working on a collection of prose poems about growing up in transient suburbia in the late 60s, early 70s, when there was a lot of social change going on, and it was a really interesting time to be a kid. And transient suburbia sort of disconnected us from our familial and maybe cultural context. So I've been thinking a lot about, even though we only lived there for a few years, I've been thinking about it all my life, and it's been fun to really dive into those searchable details. For example, the Halloween costumes and things like that. It's just been really fun.
Have you been looking at photos, your own photos?
A few photos. Unfortunately, most of the photos we had from those years were lost in a house flood. So I've been doing a lot of online research, and I was able to find that house, which is in Buffalo, and so that was really neat as well.
And how did you decide on the prose poems as vehicles of this content? Did it just come naturally, or?
I think I was sort of struggling with the format, because some of the poems are more narrative, and I had changed the formats several times, and just one day realized if they were all in prose poems, it created a visual continuity, but also, even though a prose poem package is more like a little story, sometimes writing that way sometimes helps me to be more concise. And once I hit on that, it just seemed to be the right package.
Sounds exciting. I look forward to reading them or hear them. What are you going to read for our listeners today?
I'm going to read some poems from my forthcoming book, The Compost Reader. I'm really excited to be working with the press and with you, and I'm just thrilled. So thank you.
Wonderful.
So the first poem I'd like to read is the title poem, The Compost Reader. You are a person of contradiction. Observe the pomegranate, the way each seed has been extracted. The presence of pomegranate denotes patience, passion, self-indulgence. But see how the seeds are not so much scooped as torn from their rough and broken cavities, and the dark grounds still in the unbleached filter. Obviously, you miss your best friend from 4th grade, the one with lavender tissues in her shiny purse. Eggshells. Not tucked into each other like passengers on a train, but scattered far from their mates. Here a pile of moth-webbed cornmeal, hot pepper seeds, potato eyes, beetroots, quick to anger. And these red-soaked slices of orange spiked with cloves, dinner party. You're afraid of the dark. Look at the layers of leaves, not raked in fall, but scooped out from under snow to cover 11 baby roses and the charred skin of a butternut squash. It's not so much that you miss your friend and her rhinestone barrettes, her sisters with J names. You wanted to be her. Being you, I will remember you in Paris, looking up into the Eiffel Tower's iron lace between its enormous planted feet. How quick you were to laugh in Paris, in London, in lovely, lonely, windswept Wales, singing silent karaoke with me on the plane, one speaker around your ear, one around mine. Hey, everybody, have you heard? She's gonna buy me a mockingbird. Maybe if I'd imagined us in Paris, you eating my olives, me eating your cucumbers, I wouldn't have married so soon, would have stayed in school, would have taken another year of French so I could explain to the shopkeeper my lost lens cap. J'ai perdu mon chapeau, I said with a shrug, and everyone asking if we are sisters. We were sisters in Paris, lost, flirting with the waiter, you're practicing your oh la la, and in London, walking me to the hotel after too much wine, me talking too loud, saying on the elevator, is this fun or what? And you laughing because everyone thought I meant the elevator. You like style, I like jeans, I like squibbly food. You say no heads. You say you're becoming your mother. I'm becoming you. And it's like that with my daughter too. The sea, the saw, the nursery, the rhyme, the tide, the moon. This is a poem about entering a sculptural installation by James Turrell. It's an installation in the Mattress Factory in Pittsburgh, and Turrell is in using the medium, the media of light and space and misperception to create a cultural experience. And this is a very dark space. It's just at the amount of darkness where we are just perceiving light, but we're also making light with our own eyes. Pleiades. What if night were like this room, so dark we can't see our own shoes? We curve around a corridor, grope the handrail to a pair of wooden chairs where we look ahead, wait for light. What if it appeared, creeping, a cloud or swarm of bees, silent as a meteor? The edges might be red, rods and cones in our eyes, making blue at this twilight, like the 7 sisters of Taurus, who can't all be seen straight on, the last coming out from a slow side glance. What if we woke before every dawn, opened our slant faces to the almost light, thinking, where are we? What happens next? And this is a poem after your wonderful poems, Katerina. I love your book. the porcupine of mind, and especially the apostrophes, all the poems where you're addressing inanimate objects. Kissing the whisk. At first, it felt like kissing with braces. Then my tongue found the warm caramel. We clicked, teeth and wires. You're so loopy, I whispered. Beat me tomorrow. But in the morning, I longed for the knife to slice hazelnuts for granola, nose up the cinnamon and mace. Whisk me away, I mocked. I slid my finger along the safe edge of the knife, said, I love your cutting wit. I was on a roll. If you see a knife in the road, take it. Lake Asbury Methodist Church Camp for Mage Reagan. I followed Reverend Brewster around camp asking about God. He smiled and sent me off to crafts. We'll talk, he said. But when on the last day I was distraught that I hadn't caught a fish, he took me fishing in the rain. I understand now. We are fishers of fish, not fishers of men. I want Wallace Stevens' Sunday morning, scent of oranges, moods and snow, dance of pagans and some primordial dream. I heard a pipe organ lover traveled west to buy pipes. They were too big for the car, so he strapped them to the roof and through many states, let the wind play them home. I hear my cat tromping around. He has these 12-hour naps and then runs through the house like a thunderous herd. For the boys, the girls with clean shoes and Barbies had rules, couldn't sleep out with us, didn't have their lawns spoiled by baseball in summer, football in fall, garden hose floods for winter skating. The boys didn't seem to notice I was a girl. Maybe short hair and bruised knees were camouflage enough. They welted me with dodgeballs just the same. I liked their talk and trouble, learned things I shouldn't know, like what happens when you pour water on a gasoline fire and how it is to have your wind knocked out. Mostly the wind was behind us as we rode our bikes down topsoil cliffs, leaped off swings into space. Like the boys at the pier who taught me to fish for bait from the bucket, calling me worm woman with a bit of pride. They raised me, found a place for me when I had no fishing stuff of my own. I want those boys to know that my daughter can change her own oil and that I am almost never afraid. And one more. This is Oshkosh on the water. I lived in Oshkosh, Wisconsin for almost 20 years, and it's a beautiful and wonderful place. And say hello to my lovely friends. Oshkosh on the water. It sounds like a whisper, Oshkosh. A breeze through reeds on Lake Winnebago, and her sisters, linked by murmurs and valves, shallow enough to swim to bottom across the dozen miles. My baby's born in the lower flat on Otter Street, a few houses up from the boat ramp. Just two, my daughter stepped on ice and asked, where did the lake go? Murderous screams of zoo peacocks from the park of giant oaks and picnics, geese bigger than children, small trains circling the lagoon where fathers on pedal boats lost wallets into the algae green. His first trip to the beach, my son fell in, floated belly down. Mother of slow motion dreams, I could not unhook my fearful daughter from my leg to run. Pulled out by a passerby, flotsam child, Sailor child around the bay in little boats where the 4th of July fireworks sank in their own reflections. Our rocky jut for fishing under willows, shells and bones and things with little legs came home with us. The whoosh whoosh crack of hockey in the Oshkosh cold, kids in summer t-shirts running for their lives around baseball diamonds on land made of sawdust from the lumber mills as they turned white pines into cities.
Thank you so much, Karen. These were beautiful. Good luck with your new book, that's about to come out soon. Good luck with the prose poems, the collection with prose poems. That sounds really fascinating. And good luck with everything that you're organizing and all the ways that you're serving the literary world. Appreciate
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you. And my best wishes to you and my profound gratitude for all the ways that you are serving the literary world. We're lucky to be in such a rich and rewarding landscape.
Thank you.